What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It with your host, Bando. And we are here tonight because we are reviewing one of the best cards of the year. Wow. From top to bottom, phenomenal. Everything about this card was phenomenal. You had amazing finishes from, when I say amazing, I mean like quick finishes, big finishes. You had slugfest. You had a retirement of a absolute legend. Let's jump into this night of UFC 290. Let's go. So all I'm gonna say is what a motherfucking night of fights that was. Man, oh man, did I have a blast watching those fights. I super enjoyed every single bit of it. Like I said, from top to bottom, it was stacked. You had finishes. There were big finishes, quick finishes, very important finishes. And, you had prospects on there. You had former champions on here. You had such a stacked card. It's unbelievable that we even expected anything different. We should have already expected that this was going to be card of the year, and it turned out to totally deliver. Now you look at the prelims, you had unbelievable finishes from Alonzo Minefield finishing Jimmy Crute with a submission. You had Denise Gomes. Man, oh man, was that a quick one. That was quick. She came in, she threw the punches she was looking to throw. She landed three beautiful right hands, dropped Yasmin Jauregui, and that was that. KO in 20 seconds of the first round. You had a good decision win by the up-and-comer, the undefeated prospect at Cyril Tyra. He did good. He faced a little bit of adversity, but he did his thing. He ended up not coming back, but he ended up getting the overall win, and he looked pretty damn good. Then you had Robbie Lawler, the retirement fight, man. How can you not talk about this? How can you not talk about this legend, first and foremost? Legend should have been on the main card. A legend that should have been on the main card for some odd reason was not. I don't know what the UFC does with their matchmaking, but it's the fucking UFC. But Robbie Lawler's retirement fight 100% should have been the main card opener. But it was not, unfortunately. But it don't matter, man. It's Robbie fucking Lawler. We love seeing ruthless Robbie Lawler, and we saw him for the final time, and he beat Nico Price's ass. Simple as that. He whooped Nico. He got Nico out of there with the quickness. He said, I'm going to make this a short night. It's going to be my last night, but it's going to be a quick one. It's going to be short. Because 20-something years of fighting, he didn't want to be in there for a long time for the last one. He took care of business quick. I just keep going out. What the fuck? Some cones, bro. Some cone papers. It's them cone papers. Um, Unbelievable finishes on the early prelims too. You had 3 back-to-back finishes on the early prelims. So just good card to open up, man. The prelims were kicking ass. The main card kicked ass. You had Bo Nickel opening up against Val Woodburn. Now let me get into this one real quick. This is where I sit back and say, UFC matchmaking. What the fuck? Now, I get it. Bo's original opponent, Tresean Gore, pulled out. You gotta find somebody with the quickness, especially on a short notice like that, to keep the Bo Nickel fight alive, right? Makes all the sense in the world, right? To me, as a if I was playing matchmaker, I'm looking at the options here, right? I'm looking at the options of guys that I have in the UFC that are willing to take that fight on short notice. I don't care if they fought top of the top guys or if they fought nobodies. But why the fuck would you go and pick up some dude who's never fought in the UFC before? You put him on a main card and expect him to produce? You put him on a main card against Bo Nickel, one of the biggest prospects in the game of MMA, and you expect this man to produce? Come on now. Come on now. I think it's ignorant to put a guy into the situation like that on such short notice. Like I said it in the last podcast. It really doesn't matter what you do in that fight. It matters what you do in the next one. Hopefully they give this Val Woodburn the opportunity. He was an undefeated prospect going into this fight, but at the same time, no preparation. Didn't even have a fucking team in his corner. Like, come on, this man had absolutely nothing, and the UFC kind of just like, oh, we don't care. We just want to fight. We just want somebody to basically sacrifice to Bo Nickel, and that's exactly what they did. So, look, is Bo Nickel the truth? I'm not going to take nothing away from the talent the man has. The wrestling ability is there. Yeah, he's got hands. We haven't seen full-fledged much from it, but we know that he's got some decent hands. He's not like one of the typical wrestlers that you see in the opening stages of their career that have no hands. He's got hands. He can throw mitts. Obviously, we already know the wrestling background, his capabilities in wrestling, his skill set there. But we knew what was up. You know what I'm saying? We knew what was up with this. We did. It's unfortunate. My thing is, you can't hype this fight up. You can't hype this performance up. People are gonna say, "Oh well, Val Woodburn was a 5-0 prospect. Bo Nickel's a 5-0 prospect." Yeah, but at the same time, there are levels of being that prospect, right? I don't know who Val Woodburn's ever fought. I never even seen Val Woodburn's fights. None of us really knew who Val Woodburn was until this weekend, right? So it's a very, very shitty thing to throw a guy in there like that to fight a top prospect. And it's crazy how all these people are like, man, Bo's an amazing striker now. He's an amazing this and that. Bro, he fought a guy on 2 days fucking notice. What do you expect? He is striking better look A1. You know what I'm saying? People are like, oh man, Sean O'Malley versus Chris Mutino. No, don't wipe that. Wipe that. It's not even a thing. Of course he looked like he beat a guy making his debut. Stop with that shit. Stop. I mean, look, Bo, like I said, Bo's the truth. But that performance doesn't really doesn't give me nothing to me. That just doesn't give me much to write this big thing about Bo Nickel being the next top dog or anything like that. A lot of people hype him up, and he's not even hyping himself up there. I'm more talking about, MMA fans, because you know how MMA fans are. They grab the prospect and they run with it. They run with it as far as they can, and they go as high as they can with the prospect. So Bo Nickel, yes, is the truth. We still need to see more from him. We got to see him challenged against a guy that makes sense. I thought Jamie Pickett would have been a good fight. Jamie Pickett didn't show up. I'm not going to say Jamie Pickett didn't show up. Bo Nickel ran through Jamie Pickett. And I thought Tresean Gore was definitely going to be a challenging opponent. So I thought UFC picked well with that. But with this one, you can't hype this one up. Next fight goes on to one of the fights of the night. Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker. Man, oh man, was that a slugfest. I told you. All you motherfuckers that hate wrestling, you're going to get a fight with barely no wrestling. I mean, there was basically no wrestling. There was a little bit by Dan Hooker engaging in the last, I think, of the second round, I think it was. It was the end of the second round. He started engaging in some takedowns and some work on the ground. Besides that, these boys were standing and banging the whole time, and that's exactly what they did. Jalen Turner taking the first 2 rounds, in my opinion. Well, first round and early half of 2, he took. Dan came back, took the later half of 2, and completely looked like a killer in 3. It honestly looked like Jalen was defeated going into 3. But Jalen was landing some shots early on that I can't believe Dan walked through. I literally can't believe Dan walked through. I don't know what the fuck is up with these papers tonight, but this shit's pissing me off. Fuck it comes. But the fight was so good, man. It was so good. Back and forth. Lots of kicks. A lot of setups. A lot of movement. The thing about it is, Dan Hooker just outdogged Jalen Turner that night. He he was more of a savage, man. He took more damage, came forward. Now, it don't even look like Jalen Turner took any damage at all. Dan took all the damage. Broken orbital bone. I think broken, ankle, broken wrist or some shit like that. Jalen came out unscathed. completely unscathed. And he was just fighting a really clean fight, right? But he was gassing. You saw him start to gas later on, right? But he was fighting a really clean fight overall. So I was impressed with Jalen's performance. But I just thought that some of those strikes that landed with the amount that Dan has taken through his career, I thought some of them strikes that landed like, oh man, Jalen's going to get him out of here. Jalen's going to get him out of here. And he didn't. And I don't say Jalen, because Jalen couldn't get him out of there, that's why he gassed out. I think he gassed out because Dan started putting the pressure on him. And when Dan starts putting the pressure on you, if you don't get Dan out, like I said, he's a dog. And he outdogged Jalen Turner. And that's pretty much what happened in that fight. But fantastic fight. When I watched that, like, you watched the whole card, you were watching the prelims and everything, and it's like, man, I know, I'm feeling it. This is a really good card. This shit is everything's going fun. Like, these fights are exciting so far. And then Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker hit, and it was like, oh yeah, we in for a treat for a few more fights. So it was a fantastic fight overall. I really wanted to see Jalen Turner get the nod, but he didn't. Dan Hooker got it, rightfully so. I thought Dan did more in the long run. Started the proper comeback. Could have went either way, but going to Dan is about right for you. There was more moments seeing Jalen look defeated. You know, Jalen didn't look like that against Matus. He looked defeated in this fight. So think it was a proper decision. Moving on, you got the middleweight matchup. I'm heartbroken about this. I'm just gonna get that out the way. I'm heartbroken about this. This one fucking sucked. It's another one. If you watched my last episode, you know what was up. This was the one fight I didn't want to see Rob lose. And what did Rob do? He lost. He fucking lost. So, here's the thing. I'm sad now. Real fucking sad now. You know why? Because that's it. That's it. See, Rob the Reaper Whitaker. The reason Rob was the Reaper, and this has been a nickname for a long time, but to me, one of the reasons that like solidified the fact that he was the Reaper is the fact that nobody else was going to be able to get to that title as long as Rob Whitaker was there. Right? Like, yeah, you might get this chance against Izzy. Izzy's going to beat you, but to get to Izzy, you got to get past Rob. And you don't. Majority of the time, you don't. And I was thinking, man, oh man, if there's one guy I don't want to see beat Rob Whitaker, it's Dricus Du Plessis. But, real is real. The man showed up and did his thing. So I can't fucking say nothing bad about it. He showed up and did his thing. He fought a fantastic fight. He put on the gas when he needed to. He was countering good. He was timing Rob's shots well. You know, he looked big too. He looked really big for a middleweight. I gotta be honest with you. Dricus Du Plessis is one big ass dude. Made Rob look little in there. But yeah, that's not the one I wanted to see Rob lose, and Rob lost it. So not much to say about it. You know, it was a quick fight. Dricus got it finished in round 2. I thought Rob, some of his explosive style, his dart, the like darting style seemed like he was having some success early, but I don't know, maybe like a second round Dricus Du Plessis, third round Dricus Du Plessis is one of those mythical fighters that we're always talking about. You know, the C-level Kane and the Uber Reams and all those people. Blom Brunson, you know, all that shit. Like, maybe we start talking about second round Dricus Du Plessis. Maybe he's a problem, because man, when he gets you hurt, he swarms, and he swarmed Rob. I was like, damn, man, I know where this is going. I don't like it. And I don't like it. I didn't like it at all. That fucking sucked, man. Damn, bro. Damn. And then you got the whole thing with Izzy getting in the octagon and those two going back and forth, and you know, I like some of the responses that Dracus had, because he kept it like calm and classy while Izzy's kind of like yelling. You know, you got him screaming out. I don't even know. Like, all these people are quoting it like Izzy was saying some intelligent shit. he wasn't saying no intelligent shit. I don't know why you guys quote this man like he speaks on, like he sometimes speaks these. The man was drunk. He was wasted. Why can't we just sit back and look at the fact that the man was wasted in there? He went in there and just started yelling shit. You don't need a 26 and 36 and 46 and 26 and 22 and he's just screaming numbers, bruh. He's screaming the N-word at Drakus. He's calling him a brother and then saying, "You're not my brother. I know where I'm from. I'm gonna show you where you're from. You don't know where I'm from." And it's like, oh my god, bro, you're like from 12 different places. Okay, you claim them all. That's cool. Whatever you work with, but like, he was wasted. At the end of the day, bro was wasted. So like, people are like quoting like, "Man, what Izzy was saying and it was the truth." Like, I'm so confused. What was he saying? I don't even think he knows what he was fully saying. He probably looked back at it like, "Damn, I was drunk, but let me find some of the cool shit that I can kind of quote out and make it look cool." But you know, it's Israel Adesanya. Everybody thinks he's like the coolest dude ever. I think he's one of the dopest fighters to step foot in Octagon. He's fun to watch. He gets shit done. But, you know, he's cool and he could be a corn chotch at the same time. Just like majority of guys, right? You know, and that's the way he is. And I thought the way he came into the Octagon, a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's so unclassy." It was like, yeah, it was kind of unclassy, but at the same time, like I said, the man was drunk. The man was wasted in there, right? So I thought the way Drakus handled it was perfect. There's going to be a time when these two come face to face and not shit gets popping off, but they're both going to be coherent. One's not going to be fresh out of a fight. One's not going to be fresh off a Henny bottle, and, you know, they're going to meet in the Octagon and have that conversation, and boom, you know, that just is what it is. When they have like a coherent conversation, not conversation, but trash talk, you'll get more shit that makes sense between the two. They'll both be explaining their sides on more of with I don't know, I guess different types of answers, like real answers and shit like that. The whole beef is because of the Africa thing. Like, I get what Drakus was saying. I guess I can understand where Izzy's feeling, but if you see the other guys, they don't, you know, Usman and Ngannou didn't get bugged by the comments. You know, Izzy was the only one that got bugged by the comments, but I think that's also deep down Izzy trying to pull something from the division because there's nothing left. You know what I mean? Like, all right, this guy kind of mentioned my name using the whole heritage and everything like that. The background, we can run with that. And if I really run with that, and this dude beats Rob Whittaker, I just pulled the next thing. Otherwise, it was going to be Sean Strickland, which I'm sure some people would want to see that fight. But obviously, now there's going to be a beef and things built from the Drakus Duplessis one. So you're going to see that next. But I do think that partially all this is, yeah, Izzy might have had like a little bit of like offense taken, but then he took it and ran with it more just to be able to pull something from the middleweight division. There's nobody. He beat everybody. So in his defense, he's doing the right thing on that part. But we'll see what goes down. Obviously, like I said, you got one guy coming out of a fresh fight. You got the other guy who, to me, maybe he wasn't. I mean, I highly doubt it, but he probably was. He was probably wasted. He seemed pretty wasted. He sounded pretty wasted. He was drinking something, whether it was some tequila shots, some you know, whatever, cognac, whatever the fuck he was drinking. He was feeling good. Let's put it that way. Izzy was feeling good that night, but Drakus was feeling even better getting a win against Rob Whittaker. So overall, the overall performance of Drakus Duplessis, phenomenal. Not a big fan of the guy, but phenomenal win. I don't know who I'm going to want to win between him and Izzy because I'm not the biggest fan of like either of them, but I can see that being an exciting fight because styles make fights, and Drakus has a weird style. Izzy is a style bender. So we'll see what happens. We'll see when that fight happens. I can see that fight happening in like December too. Like, you know, like something like that, November, December. That would be fun to see. So we'll see. But moving on, we're getting into another heartbreak. 2 heartbreaks back to back. You can't deal with that, but this was an unbelievable fight. In my opinion, fight of the night. How the fuck did these dudes continue to walk forward? Maybe because they're 125 pounds, but besides that, they beat the crap out of each other. And they put on a wonderful fight. Enough for some people to say that they want to see a 4th fight. Me, you can switch it up in a division. I think Brandon Royval deserves the next title shot, but it was a very close fight. Here's my beef with this whole thing. Do you know why Brandon Moreno loses these fights? He coasts. Anytime he has lost a decision, he has coasted. He coasts in that last round. He doesn't put on that pressure that he needs to. Right? And Brandon Moreno is always putting on good pressure. But Alexander Pantoja came into that last round on a mission. Not even to finish, but he was going to lock that last round to himself to where there is no other way that those judges could go. Right? Some of the scorecard was off. I can dive into that another time because we can always talk about fucked up scorecards. But I want to talk about the fight mainly because it was so damn good. I mean, Pantoja walked through everything. He was walking through everything Brandon was throwing. And Brandon, the same. Brandon got tagged with a couple shots early, right? He worried me a few times early. He got dropped early. I'm like, oh my gosh, what the fuck is in the air tonight, man? Rob first getting dropped. Now Brandon's getting dropped. What is this? What the fuck is this? I couldn't deal with it, right? And Brandon started coming back, man. Brandon started coming back, finding his rhythm, landing heavy shots. But Pantoja kept walking through him, man. He was like the boogeyman out there. It was unbelievable. But thank God the UFC did not cut the flyweight division. Because fights like this is exactly what we can get out of this division almost every time. And it was so exciting every moment of it. Every time they were landing, I was like, oh my gosh, man. These boys are swinging. They are really swinging, trying to take each other's heads off. And they're landing like they should be taking each other's heads off, and they're continuously walking forward. I think you could run it back. I think you can make a 4th fight. I don't care for it because, you know, it's another 4th fight, and he's already down 3-0. Brandon's already down 3-0. So it's not one of those things that I'm jumping out of my seat for and I need, but I can understand. I can understand. Well, I had my hands in front of the mic. But I can understand the UFC making that fight again because of how exciting this one was. And the fact that the first fight was the Ultimate Fighter. The second fight was the finale. Or was I'm pretty sure it was the finale. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just a rematch later on. But either way, you could run that back because it was so exciting. But there was moments where I thought Brandon Moreno needed to go back to some of the things that he did in the Kai Kara France fight with the body kicks. I felt like he threw a couple combinations, landing punches, and then hitting a body kick or hitting some sort of kick, but he would abandon it. He didn't throw it enough. I felt there was more times he could have thrown that. And I also felt he could have mixed in his own wrestling. He wasn't shooting enough. They were getting in engagements. Seemed like majority of the time they got in engagements, Pantoja did more damage. But Brandon's scramble game is ridiculous, man. He was getting out of a lot of dangerous positions, just standing up from them, rolling out of them. But I think he needs to take a little bit out of Volk's book, right? When Volk is in a position of danger and he gets out of it and puts himself in a position of pressure, and now you're in danger, he goes full blown with all of his strikes, everything. He's trying to beat your ass while you're down there, right? Brandon kind of just gets into that next position, lands some strikes, and kind of just, naturally coasts, which could be just how it goes, and then he gets up. Maybe that's just the whole goal. Maybe he just kind of lands a couple things, coasts, and wants to get up. Maybe that's just his thing. But the way Volk does it, Volk makes you pay for the danger that you had him in. And I feel like there was moments where Brandon had opportunity to do that, and he didn't. So a couple things that I thought Brandon could have done, but Pantoja, man, is a savage. Is an absolute savage. And for me not paying attention close to his other fights, I regret it now because, wow. Now, I've seen him in battles and slugfests, but walking forward, just walking Brandon down the way he was doing, I didn't expect that at all. Did not expect that at all. And he went at Brandon the second the bell rang. He was up in Brandon's grill. I just thought Brandon was going to have more of that champion type of IQ and everything in there. It's not that his IQ wasn't on point. Pantoja was just very, very strong in the fight, man. He continued to press forward through everything. So it's what are you going to do sometimes in those fights? If you can't finish the guy, it's very, very difficult. But I think that's what it came down to, was Pantoja was just a dog. Maybe he kind of outdogged Brandon Moreno, but it was such a good fight, man. Such a good fight. If you didn't see it, at least go back and watch the highlights, because to me, between that and Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker, those were fights of the night. But moving on to the absolute one-sided beating by Alexander Volkanovski, and I didn't fully expect this. I did not fully expect this. I thought Yair had a chance, and Yair did good. It's not like Yair did fought like shit or anything like that, but Volk did his thing. Volk did his thing, man. Volk did his thing. Volk is a savage. End of story. Volk is a savage. Volk is #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. End of story. There's really no argument to it with the activity that he puts on. The fact that you might even see him one more time before the year ends fighting Ilia Topuria is unbelievable. And that's even he had an injury going into this fight, or got injured in this fight. I'm not sure what he said, but there was an injury. So he's got to get some shit taken care of. But the fact that we might even see him against Ilia Topuria maybe in December or so, unbelievable. Even if we see it in January, February, quick turnarounds with this guy, he's #1 pound for pound. I love John Jones. I think John Jones is pound for pound like an all-time king. But when you're talking about currently, right this second, right now, it's Alexander Volkanovski. Just the way he's been doing what he does. Savage, man. Savage. He went in there and completely solidified his spot of why he's one of the best featherweights of all time. And easily the best featherweight in the world now. No doubt in anybody's mind. There's no argument to that, right? We saw Max get in a war with Yair. Right, and Max is the only other guy that we can argue being the best featherweight besides Volk, right? He's the only other person that we can argue, but you saw Max versus Yair. Max got beat up in that fight, had tons of success, obviously came out with the win. He did his thing. It's freaking Max Holloway. Max Holloway ate some shots in that fight. Volk didn't take no damage, except for that one elbow from the ground that Yair hit him with. Volk didn't take no damage. Yair didn't land no crazy kicks, nothing. Volk's movement did it. His pressure did it. The wrestling did it. The power and the strength did it. And the way he finished that fight, that sequence, the way he finished, unbelievable. He went right in. He landed the shot. He saw it. He saw that Yair was hurt. He swarmed him with punches to the head, punches to the body, knees, picks him up. And I'm not talking about just normal double leg. He just picks him up like a little baby, puts him on his back, and gets the TKO finish with a ground and pound, because Volk is a freaking savage. Simple as that. I thought Yair was going to have a chance, though. I thought Yair's kicks, I thought he was going to be able to time some things and catch him off guard. Now, he caught him with some sneaky front kicks. I saw there was a couple times where Yair ate a foot, or Volkanovski ate Yair's foot, but at the same time, he walked through it. So when a guy walks through it, we saw it in the fight before. There's not much you can do. What are you supposed to do if you can't get the guy out of there? If you can't get Alexander Volkanovski out of there, you're in for a rude awakening. It's going to be a very, very long night. And man, oh man, he gets better every single fight. Every single fight he gets better. It's crazy. He gets faster. It seems like he gets more powerful. His movement is just, I love it. I love Volk's movement. He has the best movement in the game. Nobody moves like him. Maybe Izzy's the only one. Those guys that come out of City Kickboxing, they got the recipe. They got whatever's going on. They got it in that gym. They got the recipe, right? You know, I wouldn't say that like Volk's on juice or nothing like that. Dan Hooker's not on juice. Is he? Possibilities, maybe. I've never seen a gyno titty like that before, but um, that's a whole other subject. I'm not gonna get into that. But besides anything like that, they got the remedy. They got shit going on there. They know what they're doing. Eugene Behrman is a damn good coach. So overall, I'd break more down of that fight, but there wasn't much to break down. It was Volk doing what Volk does. Like, that's literally what I can tell you. He was landing his jabs. He was landing his kicks. He was working with pressure. He was landing heavy shots, countering, moving. He did everything that Yair couldn't do better than him. And it's as simple as that. That's the most simple breakdown review I can give you of that fight. But overall, we don't have a crazy weekend of fights this weekend. We got Holly Holm versus Myra Bueno Silva. Albert Duraev versus Park Jun Young. Walt Harris is returning up against John Parisian. Norma Dumont fighting Chelsea Chandler. Otman Zaitar going up against Francisco Padro. And Nazim Sadikov versus Terrence McKinney. So, yeah. We got blessed with UFC 290, though. That's all I know. We got blessed with UFC 290. But either way, it was A-plus card, top to bottom. Awesome. If you didn't see it, make sure you go back and check it out. Also, make sure you go back and check out my past episodes. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button for when the next video comes out. And as always, I appreciate you for listening. Thank you. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.